So be clear on your vision for YFM, and that's just period. You should have a vision. You should know exactly, what it is you want, what's the purpose of your YFM program, and where are you going. I think keeping that vision in mind is extremely important. I know that I've had Sundays where it was just my keeping my thoughts on that vision helped get me through what I was doing right at the moment. Have job descriptions. Basically, we talk about recruiting teachers, but when I'm recruiting, I'm also recruiting assistant teachers and substitutes. And I have found that a lot of times I'll get someone to agree to be an assistant or a substitute, and they wind up being a teacher and an excellent teacher. The YFN is something people are afraid to jump into.
They
So,
are. They're afraid of the kids. They think that they're not gonna be able to relate, and I tell them, "You'll learn a lot while if you wanna deepen your spirituality, because it's with the kids, it's broken down into basics.
yes, and that's exactly what, I've had so many teachers say that they just didn't realize how much they would learn and how much they would receive from the kids because, they come up with some pretty amazing stuff.
It can be
So
very deep. Yes.
they can. And sometimes for the ones you least expect it.
Yes.
Okay, consider having assistant teachers and substitutes. Just kind of that's part of what I was saying. Talk with your minister when you need teachers. Make sure they're aware. Get their input. Ask them, how their ideas on how you should go about it. Talk with them what the plan's going to be. So I think it's also before you start recruiting, it's to be clear on what your policy is for parents teaching. It's done in different ways in different churches. And in my personal preference is I will let parents teach, but I would prefer they not be in the same classroom as their children. It's just
Exactly. Yep.
there's a lot of things that can happen, a lot of parent-child dynamics that get played out in the classroom that it would be best if we just avoid. So that's my policy.
Mine too.
And I also want them only teaching one Sunday a month because I think it's very, very important that they be attending service where they're getting spiritually fed so they can do a better job during the week with parenting.
Yep, that's the same here.
Okay, we're on the same boat. Okay.
But yes.
Your policy on teens teaching. I think that really using younger teens to me is a no. They need to be 16, I think, to teach, to even be involved in a leadership role. I will not let a teen teach totally on their own. They simply are not prepared for sudden things that can happen, and their ability to make, those safe decisions is not always there yet.
Right. Well, and
So,
in our church, everyone has to have a background check if they're gonna teach or even assist or that
right,
sort. So we have a background check that's required, and you can't do that with anyone that's under 18, if I remember correctly.
right,
Yeah, so
right. Yeah.
So, right. So, Jeanette, so when you talk about the teens teaching, are you referring to having the teen teaching the younger kids? Is that,
Well, yeah. I don't want teens actually teaching. I will let them be assistants.
oh, I see. So it's okay for
Right,
them to be assistants.
right. Like our church has a policy of there has to be 2 adults in a classroom. I will not let the teen be one of those 2 adults, but I will let them say we have a preschool class that we have a attendance lot of attendance that Sunday. And I have a teen that I know likes to go in and help with them. Why, I'll ask that teen to go in and assist just because it's a large number of kids. but I want
Right.
to actually let them teach. So,
Right. Yes. Yes. Okay. I
and
see what you're saying. Yes. Yeah, we don't normally l-
let
um
teens teach,
no, but occasionally, if there is a different situation, for example, older siblings help out with the younger siblings to get
Mhm.
used to, the
Yeah, and I've done that too.
yeah, I
Like
have done that.
if you have a small one that's real
Yeah,
upset,
right,
having
right, right,
separation anxiety, why
right,
having the elder one come in to help
right,
calm them down,
right. Yeah.
before I get in touch with the parent.
Uh-huh. Hmm.
Okay. So, and also your policy on young adults, and that's really they're being sponsors for YOU. Um, I think we have to be very, very careful of allowing um, the ones that graduate from high school to
Right,
go into a sponsor position.
right.
Um, they're quite often what they're really wanting is just to extend their time in YOU. And
Right.
so they're not really being sponsors, they're just being part of the group. So my preference is that they be somewhere between 20. My policy is 25, but I know some people go as low as 21. But
Hmm.
just so there's enough of a gap there that they're not going to be, actually wanting to be part of the group and come from a place of abundance rather than lack.
Hmm.
This I think is well, I know it's one I've had before they stopped having trainings at the village. Why I had two trainings with Diane Benzera, and one of her big points on recruiting is that her story is that when she started directing, why she had this, I don't have enough teachers, she was coming from a place of lack rather than a place of abundance. And when she changed that to, the teachers are here, and focused on that they would be present each and every Sunday, that all the teachers that she needed, why it shifted. And she did have all the teachers she needed. So I think, we limit ourselves whenever we come from a place of lack. Okay, let's move on to ways to recruit. Um, One way to do it is just a simple Sunday morning announcement. I know in our church, both churches I've been in, they make announcements on Sunday morning, and just have whoever's doing the announcements make the announcement. Um, that's probably the least effective way. And these aren't in any order of preference or anything. They're just there.
How often
As
though? How often would you suggest?
You know, I don't, I think you can do too much. I think
Mhm.
that if you do too much, why then people, it's like, yeah, they they always need teachers, and they just, ignore it. So I try to stay ahead, which I'm not right at the moment, but I try to stay ahead of kind of where I am in my need. Like I know right now that I have a man who's going to be um, leaving in a few months to go to Germany. So I'm already thinking about that I have a need there to get that position filled
Right.
before he leaves. But I also just had a teacher who actually a few days before the Sunday she was supposed to teach informed me that she was moving. So, and that she wouldn't be there and never be back again. So
Yeah.
that happens too. So, it's just a matter of, I do when I have a need, when I know there's a need is whenever I start recruiting. Um, Otherwise, like I said, I think the congregation just, starts ignoring you. Um, ask personally individuals that you think would be good teachers. If there's someone that you're talking to and you think they would be a good teacher, why I just ask, would you be interested in teaching? You never know. Sometimes they'll say yes. Have teachers or people who have taught Sunday school in the past speak about their experiences. This is really helpful. I think it helps people get a better understanding of what they're going to be doing and receiving from it than when we do it. I'm getting ready to do a whole month of this in April. I'm going to, for 3 Sundays, have teachers talk about their experience as teachers instead of me. And
So you're saying, having them do the Sunday morning announcement?
right, yes, have them make a brief announcement in the service.
It means more
And
when it
it's
comes from them because it's not you, it's not us speaking. Because
right,
when we go up to speak, then they hear wah 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 wah. You know.
exactly. And you know, we're leadership, so you know, they don't need to pay attention to us.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they do like to hear the stories that your teachers tell and everything, and it will be more personal to them.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea. Just that hasn't happened at
Yeah.
our church, and then I can already think about, you know, who I can ask
Who you can ask,
to
yeah,
do that. Yeah, yeah,
exactly.
totally. Mm.
Have children speak about why you need teachers.
Yes, I've thought of that. I think that's a good idea. That's an excellent.
It really, the congregation loves it, period. But also too, there again, it helps them to see who they're going to be teaching and hear from the kid what it means to them to have teachers in the classroom and what they get out of YFM. It's also, I think, great for getting your congregation more supportive and having an awareness of YFM if they actually hear from the kids about, you know, what their feelings on YFM.
So do you have a age that you think would be more effective?
I
Or
go more by who I have that I'm pretty confident can actually stand up in front of the congregation and talk than I do with age. I've had, you know, 3rd graders who were
yeah,
fantastic at it, you know,
Very articulate.
and I've had teens who were terrible at it. So,
Yeah.
so I really look at the kids. And
but you would
then
not, but you would not really go below elementary, right?
no, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I just, in my opinion, I wouldn't even want a younger child to be put in that position.
Right. So
That's scary. It can be scary for me.
right, usually we do know who likes to be you know, in the spotlight and who doesn't. And
Right.
yeah.
Your speakers, your center of attention ones, you know, they're the ones to ask.
Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah.
also make sure that I prepare with the child, you know, in advance and definitely shortly before they're going to be talking so that they have in mind what they're going to say. And it's not just whatever comes. Even then, you know, you get up in front of a bunch of people, you don't remember what to say. So you never really know what's going to come out of their mouth. And that's okay.
Yeah,
There's
it's
nothing wrong with that.
right.
So, you know,
So
just let them talk.
so you know, you also mentioned that you would prepare them a little bit. It's a little bit
Right.
like, so I guess, you know, in that case, I guess there is a fine line between, you know, trying to have them speak authentically, but with a certain amount of coaching to help them.
Right. Just remember the main points is what I do. I don't have them read a script. I don't have them memorize a script or anything. I just talk with them about, okay, so you tell me what it is you like about YFM, or tell me why it's important to you that you have teachers. And whatever they say, I active listen it back to them to help reinforcement and ask them if that's something they think could say, you know, in front of the congregation. And they say yes. And so, and then whenever I finish kind of laying it out with them, I go back through it with them so that I'm just kind of reinforcing in their mind, you know, okay, these are things that I want to talk about.
But that's very helpful. So you first ask them about, what do you like about your experience when you come to Sunday school?
Mhm.
And then why is it that you think it's important to have a teachers in the classroom?
Right.
And then as they speak, we help to organize their thoughts, repeat it back to them, and just kind of help them to organize their thoughts as much as
Right.
possible. Now, would you feel
I'm
comfortable?
just trying to plant the seed that when they're up there, it's going to come to mind and they'll just talk about it. And it's going to be more natural than if I have it kind of, okay, you're going to say this, this, this. So
But do you feel comfortable to also give them ideas where they did not come up with themselves?
if I have a kid that I'm having to give them the ideas, then they're probably not the kid I want to use.
Right.
And the way that I do that, I don't ask them first right off the bat if they want to talk to the
Uh-huh.
congregation. What
Uh-huh.
I do is I start with asking those questions, and then I say, would you like to share this with the congregation? That way I know that they can come up with things, they're not going to be, it's like they're not the kids that sit there and go, I don't know, you know, or
So you just
I had one
start
girl
with
once, it was regardless of why I asked her, her answer was pizza. So
All right, so you first just have some conversation with a few kids that you feel like, possible,
potential.
and
Yeah,
then potentials, and then it will become clear of who to go further.
right.
And okay, all right,
Yeah.
thank
Okay.
you. Those are great idea.
Uh-huh. And then post it in the newsletter. The only thing I would say about that is try to get them to put it at the top of the newsletter, not at the bottom. Because one thing is there's not everyone even opens their newsletter, but those that do, they scroll down like to see what the message is going to be this Sunday and the first few announcements, and then they're done. It's like they're not going to look all the way down. So make sure that it's at the top. It's the first thing they see. Have a church-wide volunteer fair. I've only had one experience with this, and it didn't go well. We did it as part of the fellowship after church, and we had different teams in the church had a table that people could come sit down at. The YFM table was the one that everybody took a big circle around and avoided as much as they could. So
Yeah, we hold a volunteer thing. They've done it in different ways, but twice a year.
uh-huh.
But yes, the YFM is, or we call it youth ed, but it's just
It's that one that nobody wants to get close to.
or the ones that want to, they sign up. Like I had one, I was so excited because there were 6 people, and then but since I'm with the kids all the time, I really don't know the congregation that well, even though I do take classes and things like that. But it's like, and so then I would ask the church secretary and the minister, I said, who are these people? Do you know them? They go, no. And then I would check with the person, and that it was only their second Sunday at church and they wanted to volunteer. Well, so I would have to inform them and say, well, this is wonderful. I'll keep your information, but we have a policy that you've got to have attended church for 6 months. They don't have to be a member, but they have to at least attend 6 months.
Mhm.
And we have to do a background check. And then it's
Right.
like, boom, they don't even come back anymore to church because I
Right.
probably was someone who was trying to get in with the kids. And that's
Yeah.
a deterrent.
And that's the reason for having that time frame of have been regularly attending church, which we
Right.
have the same
Yeah.
thing.
Now I do
Um,
have one family that they have been attending regularly for 5 months now, but both of them go, how can we help? How can we help? Because they have 2 littles. And so then he wanted to work with the teens, and so we only have one. I only have one male in the group for the teens, and so I asked the minister. She goes, "Well, you know what? Have him sit in with one of your experienced teachers, and then that way, by the time he hits his 6-month mark, he'll be ready
He'll
to
be
go.
ready to
I said,
go.
that's an excellent idea. And it turned out now he's my replacement for my fourth Sunday teacher, because her husband has to go to Houston to do his fellowship for
Mhm.
2 years.
Yeah.
And then, so that was my slide in.
Yeah.
It was great. And they said,
It worked out fine, didn't
it worked out great,
it?
and especially for the boys, because it was noticeable that the boys paid attention to when he talked.
They do. They tend
At
to
that age,
listen.
when
Yeah,
the younger
with the
ones,
teens.
yeah,
Yeah,
I don't
but
try.
with the younger ones, it doesn't really matter that much, but with the older ones, they do tend to listen to
For the uniteens,
to the men when sometimes the women they just ignore us.
yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
so host
so
an open house tour after the service.
can I,
Just
can
yeah.
I, can I, can I continue with that, train
Uh-huh.
of thoughts? Cause, when you talk about it's like 6 months, is that a requirement for the teachers or for all volunteers?
Teachers.
Just for
Teachers.
teachers, right?
Yes,
Just for
and
teachers.
it's for safety reasons for the kids. The 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 pedophiles will slip in. I'm just because I'm a volunteer in Scouts, and so I've done a lot of this training, and I've worked with social workers. And Jeanette, they will start grooming, and so their way to groom is to get in as quick as they can, and and you just don't. And so they want to, anyone who comes in and within a very short period of time want to work with children, and they don't volunteer elsewhere in the church, then that's a huge red flag. And so that's why you just put that 6-month mark on it. And then if I see someone coming along, like after, like with Ben, it was like, okay, I'm not getting any of my radar's not going off on
Right.
them or anything, because I could pick out creeps real quick. And
Me too.
and so I just, and so doing 6 month, it'll it's for the kids' protection, the church's protection, because the church is liable.
Right.
It-
Absolutely.
you know
And it's something that as a church you do not want to go through
and I
at
even
all.
have the talk with the teachers about, if when the kids if the kids happen to say something in Sunday school, that we're by law, we're first reporters, but
Yes.
don't question them,
No,
don't call
just
the
leave it
police,
alone,
leave it
but
alone,
report.
and then come tell me, because it's how Linda
Mhm.
our minister want handled. They come tell me, and then I tell her, and then I've given it to the person who's supposed to report it.
Yes.
And then that, but that's, and because every now and then kids will say things, and they don't say it right away. They'll say it when they feel comfortable with you, and it could be
Right.
months later after something
Our
happened.
years even,
Well,
you
yeah,
know,
because I was a foster mom, so yes, it was.
it takes a while. They have to trust that you're going to be accepting.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so encourage teachers to ask people they know. Um, because of that, I don't know everyone in the congregation, because I too am with YFM every Sunday morning, so I don't get
Mhm.
that connection.
Right.
Um, I will tell my teachers to ask people that they know, because a lot of times they know people in the congregation that I don't.
They're
So,
involved in so many other things. I've done the
right.
same thing. That's on my last teacher meeting that I had. I said, please, if there's someone you think that might be a good fit and work with the kids, let me, you ask them,
They can ask them and then I will take over as
and
the way we
I'll
do it.
follow up with it, because if
Yeah.
when I ask, when they come up and they see me, it's like you
It's
said
like,
before, it's
no.
like, nope, 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 nope. It's like we're wearing garlic or something,
Yeah, yeah, I know. There's something about YFM directors. Okay, so encourage people to come visit on a Sunday morning. I also too, a lot of times when I do make an announcement in church, I'll remind people that we have an open door, that anytime they want to come sit in on a class or just part of a class, they're more than welcome. And I think it's a good policy for keeping that, maintaining your relationship with the congregation, and that they see that you're open, that you're not trying to hide anything, that it's, that you're open. It's not a closed thing. It develops trust. Um, let's see. Look at all church members. I think there's been times when I've kind of tended to overlook someone or say, oh, I don't know. But then if I sit down with them and I get to talking with them, I'm like, they would make a good teacher. So just be open.
Yeah. And then something else to do now at either church, do the kids share at the end of service what they did in Sunday school?
We don't at Fort Worth. We did at Arlington.
Okay. And so one of the things I often, because I have the kids share, they get, we ask for volunteers to share for the different age groups, and they will share what their lesson was about. And, so people see that the unity principles and, because I use Diane's, a lot of her curriculum,
I do
and,
too.
and, and I split it in half because there's so much, I can't do it in 45 minutes. So it works. But anyway, but they'll share. And so now I'm trying to remember where I was going with this, but I have the kids share what they're learning. So they're seeing what the kids are already doing. And and that I think that's helpful, because I'll have people come up and they go, wow, you have really done a lot with the kids. Because Linda asked me to be the youth director. Well, it was spring of 20, so we were in the middle of COVID and everything else. And because the youth director had resigned. And so I had only attended sporadically before that, because I was looking for another Unity church to attend, and I needed to find a church because my granddaughter was being placed with me, and
Mhm.
and so anyway, um, so I don't really know what they were doing so much, but the way people are coming up to me is like, I'm doing more than what was being done before, if that
Right.
makes sense. And
Yes.
it's so that's really so that's good. So I think that's good. And and also in the announcements, and I've done it before, is because I say we're having our bake sale Sunday. The kids will say we're having a bake sale so we can buy more furniture because we have to make more classrooms. So so people know there's a need, without actually saying there's a need for teachers, because we are growing. And so,
Right.
like, fall, I'm going to break out the 3, 4s, and 5s. We're going to do, that's the first one. And I'm hoping, and I'm praying on that we'll have enough to be able to do the uniteens separate from right now. I have the oldest is going to be in 9th grade. So it's just crossed over that threshold for YLU, but you do what you got to do.
Right.
So Debbie, when you have the kids share at on Sunday with the congregants, what is the setup for that sharing? Because our church have done well, we have done in many different ways, but my church, we started to bring the kids at the end of the service.
Right. And that's when we do it.
To join the congregants for many, many years. And then we didn't really have them, talk when they come in, after they come in. But then during one minister run, or actually it's a pair of minister run, in the beginning, the first time in the beginning, it was spontaneous, the minister just asked the kids, would you like to share what you have learned today? And in the beginning, it was spontaneous and then authentic. But then, somehow it become expected, and it become a little bit more scripted, become less authentic. And then eventually, doing another minister's run, it become too much pressure, because the minister at the time was seeing that as being part of her Sunday service performance. But we didn't really want that, because that put pressure on the teachers, the angels, and then put pressures on the kids, and then it just become,
okay.
What I'm saying? So now it has evolved, because at one point it was the previous minister wanted, they kind of, she basically stopped the whole joining
The whole thing,
experience.
yeah.
And then we're now bringing it back, but to bring it back, it was wonderful because it's the purpose we realize is always about a oneness experience. But
yes.
thinking about how to share, what they've learned, how to
Okay.
prevent it from, getting to more than what it should be.
All right, so this is how we do it, and it's all very spontaneous. It's not forced. No one's forced to do it. The kids start out; they go straight to Sunday school. They don't start out with the congregation. So, and then I through YouTube. I monitor the service on my phone, and then also security because I'm connected at our church. I'm connected with the radio to security, so that way they can, in case of an emergency or whatever, but they also will let me know, okay, they're starting the announcements. And so then I say, okay, so then I hit all the classrooms, say, okay, it's time to start wrapping it up. They're doing announcements. And then, or where they're doing the offering, because after the offering, then they do the announcements. The announcements are held to the end. And then, so then we go and stand out in the hallway and outside the church. And then we, when they start playing This Little Light of Mine, because that's the song that's been the tradition. I'm not going to change it. So the kids will come in and they go stand up at the front, and then I might briefly tell them about what they did today and say, now I have some kiddos here who would like to share what they learned, and then I hand the mic to them because we have a mic, so I give them the mic, and then they share what they learned. If they say something that I can go, okay, that's gonna head scratcher, then I'll elaborate on what they said, and then I hand it on to the next kiddo. So sometimes it's only one kid who shares. Sometimes I have 5 or 6 who will share.
Yeah.
It's all depends. And so no one is forced. And because there's some that I know who always share.
That's pretty much what we did too after the offertory, why the congregation sang this little light of mine when we walked in. And then I usually had talked to my upper or elementary and my teens, kind of, and I didn't say you have to say anything or anything. I just said, someone tell me what you've learned today. I'd walk in, towards the end of class. What did you learn today? And again, just kind of planting that seed. And so then when we get up there, I'd ask if anyone would like to share, their experience today. And like you, I'd sometimes get one, I sometimes get, several. And sometimes, it was what the kids would start saying really was pretty off track. And so then, then I would just step in and kind of give a summary of what we learned. Now, one of the things that I loved that I found was the minister I had at the time, whatever she was speaking on that Sunday, a lot of times would be what our lesson was about. And it wasn't planned or anything. It just happened.
Right. So. Yes. And it's, yes. And it just, and that's what some of the comments have been to me. Wow, you guys are on the same track as we are, or even though we're not necessarily, although the minister gives me what her lessons are going to be, but since I'm following a curriculum, it is what it is. So,
right.
Yeah, but yeah, that's how we do it. And it works well. And then we stay up there and we do the, prayer for protection, and we sing the peace song, and then the benediction, and then as soon as that's done, then it's like walk, because then they want to run, so you're going walk.
Yeah,
because we have to remind them. We said, okay, there's a lot of gray hair in the church that are totally
you don't want them running over and knocking people down.
Some of them have walkers and whatnot. So
yeah, exactly.
That's how we do it at our church too.
And I think that's pretty standard for churches that do that.
It is. And then I think so we might be looking for a way to restore that once we are
And then also when kids are up there, you can say, that might be the good time to have one of the kiddos say, we're,
We need teachers, yeah.
because especially if there's been an announcement, because we have a roll of video announcements besides the verbal ones.
Yeah.
And so I might have one of the kids, might be a good time to have one of the kids say, hey, we need teachers, and so come join us so you can learn with us,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Something like that, one of my older kids, because there's a few of the like third grade up that are very articulate and very soulful. So
Yeah, I always did my recruiting when I did have kids going into the service. That was when I did whatever I did in regarding recruiting. I did it then. Now since I'm at a church where we don't go into the service, why then it becomes more of a part of the announcements.
right.
So.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Okay, so moving on, if you have a volunteer coordinator, ask for their help. And I have one, and I have to say it helps to have her because she's with the congregation every Sunday. She knows the people. She knows how long people have been attending. And what she does basically, she'll ask someone if they're interested, and if they are, then she says, well, I'll have Jeanette get in touch with you, and that's what we do.
Okay, sounds good.
So yeah. So if you have one, use them. Look at I did that one already. Display the ministry. And this is the making sure that your congregation knows you're there. For us, it's sometimes I felt like, especially now, our situation right now is that we're way down at the end of a long hall, very, very far away from the sanctuary. And I feel like that people just tend to kind of forget that we're even around. So it's that come up with ways that you can show off, be it maybe they come in and sing a song, or display artwork somewhere in the church where people see that there's things going on. I think that's really important.
Mm.
Attend church events. Debbie, like you were saying, attend classes. If your church has a fellowship time after the service, go to it, go to potlucks, anywhere you can, just so you can mingle with people and you become more acquainted with people,
Right.
and you find those people that you go, oh yeah, I want this person to teach. So talk with new members. I've had some success with when they did a new membership class of my just stepping in for a few minutes and just kind of explaining YFM to them, and encouraging them to volunteer
Right.
with
I just
with
did
the
that at the
YFM.
last one, which was last Saturday, and or last Sunday, and I just, stepped in at the end when I knew, and just and said, I would love to have you. Our department is growing. We need more
Yeah,
teachers,
it doesn't
so
have
would
to
love you
be
to contribute your,
anything big, just a simple invite them. And that way they get to know who you are, they get to see you. I think it's important that the director have a presence in the church, because people need to know who you are.
right.
It makes a difference. Okay, the last one I have is create a question and answer sheet. And that is what this looks like. What I've done, and I use this especially when I just had was recruiting at the end of the service when the kids were in the sanctuary, because I found like people would come up with me with a lot of questions, and so we had a place where there would be flyers on different things and everything. And I always had this one there so that people could grab it if they were interested. And just a half sheet of paper turned landscape wise. And I just put some of the basic questions that people usually ask and what my answer is for that. And that way people start, if they're saying they're going, maybe I'd like to, but I just don't know. That's something that, you can, have there to give them. Let's see, ideas for speaking to the congregation. Be enthusiastic. Um, you know, put your smile on, be energetic, because YFM is energetic. give a reason or two why Sunday school is important. I think a lot of times the congregation doesn't really know how important we are. They don't really understand what our purpose is. And so I think it's really important that we convey that to the congregation as a whole. Tell them that their job is to teach and you can take care of everything else. And then that's if someone, I say, if you're a teacher under me, your job is to teach on Sunday mornings. Your job is to be prepared to teach on Sunday mornings. My job is to help take care of you. And so my taking care of you means I have the lesson plan ready for you that you'll get during the week so you can, read it over and know what you're doing. And all the supplies will be there. You don't have to come in and spend an hour getting ready for class.
Right.
It's already done.
That's what I do as well.
It works really well. And I think it also
Higher
helps.
retention of teachers.
It helps get teachers because teachers don't want to have to write the lesson plans. And I can't blame them. Okay, so tell them the things that they'll receive from teaching. We kind of hit on some of that. What they receive is that just they learn more about unity. I have not have a teacher that I can recall who said, I'm not learning anything. They learn. It's a great place for people who are fairly new, who have been past that time of 3-6 months, that you require that they be in attendance. It's a great place for them to learn more about what the principles and truths of unity are. And I've had teachers, even though they've been going for years, who weren't really clear on 12 powers, and you do curriculum on the 12 powers, and they're like, wow, I just didn't know that this was even here. So it's a good learning experience, and there's the joy of teaching the kids, and the kids are just amazing. So I think people receive a whole lot more than they realize that they will. Okay, so moving on, the potential teacher. What I like to do before people actually commit to teaching is I encourage them to come spend a Sunday morning in one of my classes, preferably with the age group they would like to teach, because it helps them to see exactly what they're getting into. And that way, I don't have someone who, starts and then realizes that they just really don't have an interest in it at all. They're there a couple of Sundays and they leave. I don't run into that type of thing. We do a background check. Everyone should be doing a background check on anyone who is working in any capacity with the children, period. Child abuse training. It's critical. You got to have your teachers aware. Just as Debbie was saying earlier, you can get trainings online. Ministry Mobilizer is an app that they do background checks, and they also have videos on child abuse training. And what your teachers do is they spend, I think it's about 30-45 minutes watching a video on child abuse, and then they take a short little quiz at the end. They pass the quiz, they've completed the training. That keeps me from having to spend a lot of time in my trainings focused on the child abuse training. Application. You should have an application on file on every teacher with, of course, all the basic information. It's important, I think, to include a little bit about their medical history, just because you never know when a teacher could have a medical issue. And it helps if you have an idea of what might be going on, just like with the kids. It's like, if you're going to be under my responsibility, I want to have a little bit of an idea of what I might be dealing with.
Where would you find the app? Because I've just created a thing in Google Docs and just had them, when they had to go in and fill it out. But I'm just wondering where you had that national.
The app, if you just Google Ministry Mobilizer.
Okay, but then the next one on the application. I'm sorry.
on the application, the National Youth and Family Ministry Guide for Unity.
Okay,
You
and is
should
it on?
have that.
Okay,
If
and
you
it's, but
if
where
you
is it
don't
at?
have it, go to UWM's website, look under the YFM stuff, and you should find a way how they're doing it. They've gone through different ways of how you get
Okay,
access to
I'll
it.
go look for it later.
If you can't find it, let me know,
All
and
right.
I'll help you.
Because I had created my own application, you know, which and it's
Right.
in Google Docs, but this would be
Well, I did actually, I wound up doing that too, just because I'm not real crazy about theirs. There's just, I think there's a few things that I want to know that they don't have on there, and a
okay.
few things that they've got on there. I'm kind of like, I don't need this. So,
Gotcha.
but having a guideline to go by is great.
Yes.
Ask for a commitment of 6 months to a year. I want people to know this is a commitment. This is not something that you just, oh, I'll do it until I get tired of it and I'll leave, or the Sundays, yeah, I'll commit to one Sunday a month, but if I've got something else going that I want to do, why I can skip it. We've got to have our volunteers and they've got to show up and they've got to be committed to what they're doing and make sure they know their arrival time.
Mhm.
I like for my teachers to get there ahead of time so that we have time to pray in, we have time to kind of check in, spend a little time together, and go over any questions they might have about what they're teaching that Sunday.
One of the things I've had my volunteers do is if they can't work a particular Sunday, because I have on in Google Drive, I have like the volunteer list, and they can if they need, they ask someone to swap with them. So like if they can't because maybe they have to work when they weren't planning on it, or they get sick, then they swap a Sunday with another teacher who teaches in the same age group,
Right.
and then that's and that's worked out really well.
I don't have really enough teachers at this point for that to work. I've done that in the past,
Right.
but right now
Slowly evolved there.
I've got where I just take it over. I do have some people that are trained, and have background checks that don't normally teach that I can call upon whenever I'm
Mhm.
really
Yeah, I
need
teach
some.
one Sunday.
I get to that desperate point.
Yeah.
So
Right now I do teach twice a month because I teach for the the teens. I teach the teens once a month, and then I have the grade school kids once a month, but I'm slowly getting it, to where I won't be, so I'm a little more free, but also we're expanding. So once, I'll
right, then
take
you're
over
going to
that
be
class,
back.
then I'm back to teaching because I'm taking over that class till I fill in teachers. So
Right, exactly. And let me say just a little bit about that. I think it is important that, if at all possible, you have two teachers in every room and you have two teachers to cover every classroom. It frees you up in a number of different ways. One, as the director, you're able to float. You're able to check in with different classrooms. You get to sit there and observe a little bit of how your teachers are teaching. Is this working? Are there issues here I need to address? It gives you that opportunity to see what's going on. It also frees you up that, you know, you can probably sometimes, I've always only found it to be sometimes, can actually go sit in on the service or part of the service. Yeah, I know. Like I said, sometimes.
I watch it on, since it's YouTube, they live stream it on YouTube. Then I usually will watch it
Right.
either when I get home, I'll watch it that afternoon, or I'll watch it on my day off during the week.
That's what I do. But I have tried to go in, and I felt comfortable with leaving and doing that because um, I would do it on Sundays. I have a daughter that's 34 now. And she teaches. And so, being my daughter, she knows exactly how I want everything done and how to handle everything and when to reach out to mom if she doesn't.
Mhm.
But what I found out was that my daughter quite frequently would reach out to me. So I'd be back over handling what she saw as an issue, even if it really wasn't.
Yeah.
Okay, so how to keep teachers. Honor teachers. I think it's important that we recognize that they are volunteering. Their time is, being of service to the church. And I think having a recognition of them like once a year, every 6 months, something where you just recognize your teachers. If your kids come in at the end of the service, why that's the perfect time to do it, to take
Mhm.
just a little bit of time to acknowledge what your teachers do for the kids. Um, and if not, then sometimes just, putting a little blurb in the newsletter about, we are so grateful for our teachers. Our church does a what they call thank you, and they in the announcements, and they will, I think it's once a month, they have either a group of people or a specific person that they give a thank you to
Right, they do
for
this
the
a
work that
volunteer
they're
spotlight.
doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we do a volunteer spotlight. One of the things that I started just recently doing with my teachers, I'm gonna do it quarterly, is like those little things that, like there was got for Valentine's, I got some $1,000 bars or $100,000 bars, and found a little thing on Pinterest and just said, we hit the jackpot. We're having you volunteer with us. Everyone I gave it to, they absolutely
Really
loved it.
appreciate, yeah.
And I went and found them after, because most, except for one, everyone else was at church that day, even if they weren't teaching. And so I thought, okay, then I'm gonna just start doing that quarterly. And I've already found the next one, which is, for with a bag of snack bag of chips, and say, you're all that in a bag of chips. And thanks for volunteering. And because they just want to be recognized in some way.
Right.
And just so they know you appreciate them. So they really appreciate it. Although I'm I'm gonna have the kids give it to them this time. So
Yeah, that makes it even
yeah.
more special.
The other one was I decided like 3 days before, before church. So I was like very put to get fast. And so this time I'll have the kids do it.
I try to make sure also that I every Sunday say thank you to my teachers before they leave. Um,
Yes.
just to know they're appreciated.
Mhm.
Get to know them. That's part of why I, in that time that they are there before class, why I have them, have them there, because it gives me a chance just to get a little acquainted, to chat with them. And it helps your team if you have that more of a personal connection among everyone. Um, Assigned Sundays are created a schedule for each month. Um, while I found I used to, when I started, I would just ask people what Sundays um, would work for them to teach. And every month I was making up a different schedule. And now I've gone to, it's like, okay, you're going to teach on the third Sunday of the month.
Mhm.
And that way they know that they can, I expect them to plan on, not scheduling anything else on that Sunday.
What do you do
Use
when there's a fifth Sunday? Because I mean, we have something that we haven't. We do multi-gen services for, so
mhm.
the kids are in church on the fifth Sunday. But what do you do when there's a fifth Sunday?
I have a sub, or a teacher slash sub. She likes, for some reason, she wants to be a sub instead of a teacher. But what she does is she teaches on my fifth Sunday. So,
Okay.
and I teach with her. That's one of my teaching Sundays. So
Okay. Okay. I was
I
just
teach
curious.
with her. So, um, let's see. Use their gifts and talents. As you get to know them, you get to find out they have a special talent in something. Use it. Let them share that talent with the kids. If it can be something artsy, there's just all kinds of things that, professionally or just in their interests that people have that they can share with the kids. I also will take a moment to share with you all what I used to do um, in the summer so that the congregation could share their gifts and talents. Is I had what I called Spectacular Summer Sundays. And once a month, or no, I did twice a month, so my teachers could have some time off. Why I would have someone in the congregation come in who was an artist or made jewelry or whatever, have them come in and share that talent. I had a chef come in once and they made cookies. It just all kinds of things. I had a gentleman who has two horses, and so he would bring one of his horse and talk to the kids about horses and how you care for them and
Oh,
everything.
fun.
So yeah, that the kids always love that one. The horse is here. Anyway, so yeah, that was a really great way for me to give my teachers a break, and also for the congregation. Maybe they didn't want to, participate all the time, but they didn't mind spending a Sunday with the kids. Um, Listen to and respect their age group preferences. Um, Most people have a preference for what age group they teach. I try to respect that as much as I can. Every once in a while, if I get into a jam, I'll say, "Hey, would you mind for a little while teaching this age group instead of the one you are," knowing that they'll get to come back to where they want to be. I think that, that's all of that. Be available at times other than Sunday morning. Make sure they know how to contact you. I think that's important, one, so they can let you know if they're not going to be able to teach one Sunday, but also just, if they have questions or something comes up that they want to talk with you, they know how they can get a hold of you. Encourage them, let them know when they're doing a great job. I think it's easy for us to get caught up in what we're doing on a Sunday morning, and we forget to tell people, you're doing a fantastic job. Or, I'll listen to someone do a lesson, and then, later afterwards, I'll say, wow, I really liked how you taught that. That was so good. Um, you know, just that type of thing. And then there are those times when, you do have to kind of find the gentle way to let them know where they need to improve too. We all can improve all the
Yeah.
time. So any questions, anything else we want to discuss?
Well, something that I was just wondering if anyone's ever done this, and I've went down to the Houston church to their website, and there's some ideas that I got from that, like having that they have different jobs, like a parent who coordinates like after church activities, like once a quarter for families to meet to go to the putt-putt golf or to do different things together. And then that was just a way of getting the families more involved. And then, and then that way, and you go too. And then that's just an opportunity for you to get to know the parents and maybe, and, and then pull them in. Um, so I was wondering if anyone's ever done anything like that.
We have just started that.
Okay.
What we're doing is for the whole church, we're trying to come up with those more social activities, things that people like to do, and offering each month different things that they can go to just to be with other people. And um, more geared toward families, I definitely try to make a point to attend. We just did one. You might be familiar, Debbie. I wasn't familiar with it until recently, but there's a place called Cider Cade. And then what it is, they serve cider, but they have an adult only time after, I think it's 7 o'clock in the evenings. It's adults only, but during the day, kids can be there too.
Where's
And
it located?
there's two of them. There's one in Arlington, and then up a little bit north around the stadium somewhere, and then there's one in Fort Worth. That's the one I've been to. But
Okay, well,
they have all the old arcade games. They have tons of pinball machines. They have just
okay,
everything you can think of
I'll
is
have to
there.
look. Because
Yeah, yeah,
I
it's
lived just a
kind
couple
of brought
miles
back
north.
memories. It's like, oh, I remember this.
Yeah.
And they have pool tables and stuff. It's a
Okay.
fun place to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was one of them that COU used to do regularly is they used to have like in May, they would have for the families, like a family get together at the church, and they would do a barbecue, hot dogs and hamburgers and games for the kids to play. And it was a chance for the families to
Just talk.
socialize with each other. Because sometimes some of the families, maybe they're an every other week family or whatever. Because so that's something I want to try. I want to do in May is do that because to kick off our summer because we'll be doing our wet and messy Sunday school, starting in June. So
Right. We are one of the groups that we're getting ready to start. It's going to be led finding other people besides you to lead it is also important. You've got enough responsibilities without taking it on too. But we're going to be having once a month a meeting in one of the parks, one of the local parks for families, so that families can get together and the kids can play together and the
Oh,
adults can talk.
Chicken and pickle. That's a good place too.
Oh, that's a good place too. Yeah.
Because there's one right across the street from us. It's on the other side of the fire station.
Uh-huh.
And so a lot of the families are very familiar with that. I've heard them talk about it. So that's another,
That's a good
there's
one.
places like that that are good places for them to go, bowling alleys, but I'm seriously going to be looking at, whether it's a parent or even a church volunteer that can coordinate, that maybe has grandchildren, and they can someone who's familiar with kids and what they like. And then, be the coordinator for this so we can do something quarterly.
Right. And I think it's important that you provide parents with those opportunities to connect with each other. It's going to strengthen their relationships. It's going to strengthen their connection to the whole church. And I think that also it gives you an opportunity to get to know your families better.
Right.
You don't have that opportunity when they're checking in on Sunday morning.
No.
Yeah,
It's kind of,
I've
started
they're rushing off to service, and you've
Yep.
got things that you need to rush off to. So, you just don't have that opportunity. And so it does give you that chance to get better acquainted. Encourage your teachers to attend them too, so that they can have some social time with the kids.
Exactly.
That builds their bond with the kids.
Yes, because I want to start doing stuff starting in the fall. I'm going to try and do a lock-in with the teens, so that way, because now, so we can start, so hopefully they can plan to attend one of the region's teen rallies.
Which, I do have something that I can go ahead and share with you. It's not planned yet. I have no dates. I have no location. I have nothing. But we are going to have a Uniteen retreat sometime in October.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Will it be local?
I don't know. It'll be somewhere in the region. So
okay.
I'm not sure where, but it'll be somewhere in the region. I think there's the Columbus Day that we're looking at, maybe, because that gives an extended weekend for travel and everything. So, but it's something we're working. Like I said, I have no details. I just know we are going to do this. So,
Yeah,
but it will be, if you haven't signed up for the region's newsletter, make sure you do, because that's where you're going to find out a lot of the information about that. And Laura, you got your mute on if you were wanting to say something.
Usually down in the bottom corner.
Hey, thank you so much. I'm sorry I came in so late.
Oh, that's fine.
Intended to be here from the beginning, but the morning didn't go as I would have had it go. So I'm just enjoying listening. Some great tips, and nothing I really need to share just now. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you could join us. So any other questions, any other ideas we want to share with each other?
Just continue with Debbie's comments and questions about the family activities. When our church first started in 1995, it evolved. And then I think one of the reasons our YFM ministry grew so big was because there was a period of time we really have a lot of family activities. We have picnics, we have camping trip, eventually we have family retreat. We grow so big, but it is very much parent-led, because those are the parents when they have their kids in the age where they can do a lot of activity, they're very motivated, and then that takes a lot of planning. And so but that is where the source of the teachers recruiting come from too, because the parents and the families, they get to know each other, and then the kids start to become friends, right? And then that's the big reason that they come to Sunday school, is to get to
Right.
see their friends. And so that's a huge factors that to help to contribute to grow. And then to find teachers and to find parents who are willing to step up to coordinate activities,
Mhm.
So that's yeah. So we're hoping once our ministry stabilize, we start to grow. We are growing, and then so we're looking for teachers. But in my experience, as I shared with you guys earlier, I start out as a volunteers for teachers assistant and all that, and so once we can once and then become very involved with the family ministry. So I think once we stabilize, and then this is what we're looking to. And also there's another things I think we're hoping to start to get our church, as we are recovering from various things, is to start to provide childcare for classes, because that is one thing the parents need the most, is that besides Sunday service, they come and then the kids go to Sunday school. But if the church is offering a lot of different classes, right? Spiritual classes, prosperity classes, this and that. Without childcare, parents are
Can't attend.
they can't
Right.
they can be more involved with the church. So
Right.
if we can provide childcare, that's another way to help to bring in families and to bring in a committed parents.
Yeah, we have
Yes.
one person who's paid to be in the nursery, so she's the same person, through toddlers, but she's the same person every Sunday. So that helps with the kids coming in and not knowing anyone, because they're that same face every Sunday. But she also, she gets paid for certain events, or the parents know that if they want to attend a class, they reach out to other parents and they pull their resources, and then and she'll be there at the church for them to do childcare. Sometimes the church pays for it, sometimes they don't. A lot of our classes are hybrid now, so for the parents, they're able to just be home and do the class through this method that we're doing it. So it just varies.
One way you can also cover the cost of that is to have the parents split it up.
Yeah.
And that way it's not costing a parent, all that much. It's
Right. So that's basically what, we're doing, is just, if they want Brigetta to for childcare, if she's available, because then she's, then they split the cost of what it is for her to be there. Yeah.
Yeah.
For
And
the
then,
so for the child care, do you have a requirement that you have to have two, or do you
Yes.
you have it?
My policy is there has to be two people in any classroom or nursery, period.
No, I'm
There's-
talking about
and
childcare for classes. So what we
I
try to
still
set
think
up.
there needs to be two people. And the reason I think there needs to be two people is because it's a safety issue.
Yes,
Right.
so the way we set up.
Not just because of child abuse and stuff, but if one person becomes ill and
Yes,
you have no person in there, then what's gonna happen?
right. And also, if one child has to go to the bathroom, and they need help, even though the bathroom's right outside the door,
Or
they're
you
out of the room.
still, yeah. So you need to
Unfortunately, I
have,
don't have enough people for two in every room. That is the goal. But we
right.
do have cameras in each room, and the door, and each room door has a window. So there's
And I'm sure on the Sundays you're not teaching, you're available, which that was part of why I liked having two teachers, so that I could be that third person available if they had a situation that required
yes,
someone else.
right. Well,
I was right there.
and in the nursery, we do have two people all the time when it's on Sundays. So we have Brigetta, who she's doing the lesson. She either, depending on which age group, whether she's doing Unitots or she's doing the What a Wonderful World. But there's a other person that's there to be the other, to hold the space. And also if someone needs to use the, help in the bathroom, then they're the one who takes them to the toilet. And that sort of thing. So that's the one room that does have
With
food.
your little one, that second person can be the one that helps keep the attention and all that stuff.
Yes, yeah, so there always is 2 people in that room, and then I do have a 5th Sunday volunteer who helps on the 5th Sunday so that she, so that's only, what, 4 times a year that she's in there holding that space, but that's, that's the 5th Sunday, and all my volunteers, I send out a text. I have a text set text groups, like 1st Sunday, 2nd Sunday, 3rd Sunday, have them labeled, and then I say, don't forget, this is your Sunday, the volunteer, in the nursery room, I'll just volunteer them, even text them and say that, don't, reminder, this is your Sunday to work in the nursery.
Right.
And they said, thank you I almost forgot, thank you, because some people lose track of, depending on how the calendar is on their wall calendar at home. And
Especially 5th Sundays. It's like they
yes,
sneak up on you.
yes, yes,
I've noticed that.
yes, yes.
Okay, I just have one other state comment I want to make before we close, and then when we were talking about ministers and kids talking, and and the minister doing the ask the questions and everything, I think it's really important, and I don't know, well, I know how we do it, but I think it's really important that ministers have some type of a connection with the kids. It just is. It's they know who the leader of the church is. They have that they starting to develop that a minister is someone I can talk to. A minister is someone who can be someone that is okay for me to talk to them, instead of whenever they go up to the minister, at the end of the service, while they've got these big saucer eyes, like, wow, it's a minister.
Yeah,
And so what we do is Jean Marie comes into our classroom whenever at the end of the service. After he finishes his meditation, while they're doing the offertory and everything, he comes visits us. And that's where he gets a chance to ask the kids questions, and they get a chance to talk with him. And sometimes we just talk about really silly, crazy stuff, and that's okay. So,
yeah. Well, our 5th Sundays is kind of their chance to interact, because we make it interactive. So the minister is leading the lesson. I facilitate and lead the object lesson or activities and things like that. So that's their opportunity. But on the minister, I'm just curious, does anyone else meet regularly with their minister? I meet with the minister once a month. So I have to let her know what this is where we're going. This is my, I let her know what my vision is and remind her this is where we're at. Because that way, when she gets with the board, she says, okay, this is where, the youth education is. And so I meet with her on my day, because I have a full-time job. So I work retail. So there's my day off. On my day off, I go into the church to set up for Sunday. And then that's when I meet with her.
Right now, what I do is we have a staff meeting every Tuesday morning. And so I attend the staff meeting, and that's my opportunity, unless I need something in addition, but that's my opportunity just to touch base. My previous experience, I had a meeting with the minister once a month. So
yeah, because we don't.
And I think it should be. I think you should have that meeting with your minister at least once a month. That way they know what you're doing, you know what they're doing, and you're in agreement on, areas where there's a question of,
Right.
what do I do? You got what they think you need to be doing. So
yeah, and because we don't have staff meetings because we're still, the church is still rebuilding and growing from, like most of us, recovering from COVID. So
right. We all are.
Still in that phase, probably will be for a couple more years, I think.
We do
Okay,
have
I wanna-
regular meetings.
Pardon?
Yes, we do meet regularly. And not it's at this point it's more need-based, but we communicate. We say, okay,
Right.
it's time to have a meeting, because the transition minister has a lot to take care of the rest. And so at first we set up regular meetings, but now it's more need-based, but at least once or twice a month.
Mhm.
Yeah, see, when I was at the Arlington church, because I was Joel and Diana Hughes were the ministers, during that time. And so when I became the youth director, then, then that was Diana and I had, so that we were meeting once a month. So that's my habit. And so when I came on, I popped in, I said, you got 15 minutes so we can touch base. And so now it's like, this is where we're going. And I let her know, this is the lesson. This is the theme we're going to do in the fall. Like I'm going to do Wizard of Oz. We're going to shift from the unity base, strictly unity based ones. And we're going to go the metaphysic Wizard of Oz, just for something different. And because it's only 6 or 8 weeks. And then, then we got then I move into the holiday curriculum. And then January, we start back wherever we left off,
Right. Laura Lisa, did you want to say something?
Yes, I did. I'm the minister at Unity Baton Rouge, and I go as often as I can to anything that is regarding the children. And I do plan events and invite. We basically have 2 families, and that's it. We're a small church. We get like 30 members on a Sunday morning.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a Sunday school of about 6 children from 2 different families. I've taken them to trampolines with parents on
Right.
board. I've also taken long trips, always, of course, with a second person. We're not, we would have to not have children's church if we required 2 people. We have
Mhm.
in the past had 2 people to do that service. Presently, we do not. We do pay our children's church leader. And I'm here, of course, to try and grow our children's church. The leader I invited, she's a very busy mother of 4. She's one of the 2
One of the
families.
balls.
So that's to me the reality in a lot of the Unity churches that I know about. And I certainly don't require her to do anything that might make it not work, the whole experience not work. She loves it. She loves preparing the lesson. She does that. We take the lesson from the daily word, so the musician knows what music to pick. I know what to base my message on as a jumping off point. And the children's church comes in and always shares at the end of service what their project from the daily word is, and they share affirmations. So it's working. I have to be careful not to fix what's not broken,
Right.
But we certainly would love to grow our children's the young ones and our teens and uniteens. So we have actually in each age group, we do have children.
Good.
And we need more, we need more. So I'm so thankful for all the ideas that you all shared, and for for being here. Thank you so much, Jeanette. It is.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Jeanette. I do plan to be, engaged in these conversations in the future.
Wonderful. We'd love to have you with us. Which, let me close with 2 things. One, my email address is in the chat if you want to write it down real fast. Why I'm available. I'm here for all kinds of things. If you just need the support, if you're feeling discouraged, any way I can help with YFM.
May I ask, is that a different email than what?
No, it's the same one. It's
Okay,
the Jeanette.
I'm not finding. Oh, here's my chat. Okay, I'm gonna copy.
At unitysouthcentral.org.
Okay.
Or no, YFM consultant. And I've got 2. You can put Jeanette. It'll get to me too. But
I don't see it in the chat.
Yeah, I don't see it in the chat.
Really? Put it
but we got the email to come here. So if that's the same email, then we're
but
good.
that might have been from a different source, not
no, the email to come here does it. And
it doesn't.
That
Okay.
works.
Great.
So anyway, it's YFM consultant at unitysouthcentral.org.
And Laura, when I first started back up in 20, I had 2 families as well. You know, so it was like everyone was all together, but then as these kids have gotten older, because they're 4 years older, so it was just, you know, so but the main thing is that, you know, we've grown, and I've got at least 18 families altogether,
Wow.
but some of them, you know, the kids are only there every other week because the other weekend they're with their other parent. Some of them have parents who their work schedule is such that maybe they only come to church once a month or twice a month. So, but I can have anywhere from 3 or 4 kids, including nursery on a Sunday, to having 20 kids. So I would say there'd be about 20 kids, you know, but I have more than 20 kids on my list, check-in list.
That's fantastic.
Thank you,
You're doing
Debbie.
That's a
very-
lot of choice.
You're
You know?
doing
I'm
sorry, did
very,
you say-
very well. I will
Did you
say
say
that.
Fort Lauderdale?
No, I'm at the Arlington Church in Grapevine. I mean, not the
Arlington.
Arlington Church. I'm in Arlington, but I'm at the Grapevine Church, which is near the DFW airport.
Great. Thank you so much. And Jeanette, is it YFM consultant at unitysouthcentral.org?
That is correct.
Okay, I did put that in the chat. So I got it, and I guess I already have it as well from
Right, you do.
registered.
Yeah, if you got the email from me, that works. So,
Okay,
all
great.
right. I thank you all so much for being here, each and every one of you. I wish you the
Thank you,
very,
Jeanette.
very best in your ministries. You're all doing a fantastic job, and even if you just need someone to encourage you, don't hesitate to reach out to me. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.